I got the chance to play NBA 2K26 My Team early. Let's talk about it. First off, I do want to give a big shout out to 2K for flying your boy out to Community Day in the first place. I definitely don't take these opportunities for granted, and they also would definitely not happen if it wasn't for you guys, so thank you. With no time to waste, we jumped into the mode available to us, which was TTO Park. Now, while 2K did say the cards we used at Con Day were not a guarantee for the official release of 2K26 if they follow the same trend as last year where the free agent cards carried over, the easy decision here is going to be the free agent Victor Wembanyama and then whoever else you want to choose. A lot of people are probably going to choose Luka if they're not too familiar with the WNBA players, but trust me when I say them WNBA players, they are nice in my team and y'all are going to see later on. Move on to page 2, and I think the popular option here is going to be the Wilt Chamberlain, man. Nonetheless, we jump into the new player card review as they talked about on the courtside report, and I think this is just a big quality of life update to the My Team mode. Does it affect gameplay or how you make MT and stuff? No, but I definitely like the display of the attributes, the badges. They added some new stuff on the stats where for those of you guys like me who will not be touching grass for the first while can see how many points you accumulated, how many threes you've knocked down, how many minutes you've spent playing with that card. I honestly don't know if this is a good thing for me to see or a bad thing, but I think the best part about this new player card view is when it comes down to comparing cards. Not only are you going to be able to directly compare cards right away now when you're already looking through your collection trying to figure out who you want on your team, especially when you're comparing like the same card in the auction house because you're looking to make an upgrade when one has more Hall of Fame badges, you're going to be able to directly see now what badges got upgraded because things aren't being moved around up and down based on if they're Hall of Fame or not. Everything is laid out and compared directly side to side, so you'll be able to see exactly what badges are being upgraded from the original card, which I think is pretty dope. They loaded me into the shop, so you know I had to check out the pack market. Similar to last year, we had access to packs with different tiers, with the diamonds having LeBron, Steph Curry, Sabrina Ionescu. We get to the pink diamonds, and they had that CC, man. Caitlin Clark, that is a name you don't want to forget because she is so tough in my team. Y'all are going to see later on in the video. Opals, we got the cover athlete Shea, you got the horse lover Nikola Jokic, and an Aja Wilson, which ended up being a much better card than I would have ever anticipated for a 6'4" center. Now, I think we can all agree that 2K25 had the worst pack animation since animations have been introduced to packs, but in 26, they've made a comeback. Starting with the glow, it's looking like they put much more effort. They've got this bionic glow to the card, and it's got some meaning behind it because once you open the card, this bionic figure starts to walk out, starting with the position, a badge that the card has, then showing a random statistic and the franchise that the player plays for, then leading up to the player reveal walking out through the tunnel and this card eventually popping up with fireworks everywhere. It is very nice to see animated player intros once again. Thank you. I actually don't even know why we ever got that billboard in the first place or who thought that was a good idea, but thanks for changing it. Now, I know y'all see that cursed no MT logo from 2K24, and I'm here to reassure you it was meant to be a non-auctionable logo and it will be fixed for when the game drops. The auction house is still in 2K26. We're not going back to that 2K24 stuff. Now, they also had us open what was called a double walkout pack, and this is a scenario where there is 2 players within the packs that you open. This has happened a lot throughout 2K25. Now there's going to be a separate animation for it. First, you start off with a regular walkout, and at the very end, 2 players or more will pop up. They'll have their own celebration. In this case, it was the knighting one, and then boom, both cards show up. So very similar to the regular pack opening, just with a bit more pizzazz on it. There was also another pack I did open that had an animation where they played rock, paper, scissors. So that was pretty cool. Then we get our first look at Sunset City Park at night, and man, it looks nice. Not that that was a concern because the park looked great in 2K25. The biggest issue is how playable is it gonna be with the servers and the lag and everything, because like I said, regardless of how good something looks, it all comes down to the playability. So as long as the servers are smooth, I think we'll be in for a good time. You're still able to open packs to show everyone. This time it's not a billboard though, it's going to be a display truck, and then that right there is going to be the 5v5 all-star team up co-op portal, but more on that later. As far as the park layout goes, we got the brand new 2v2 courts at the very top. Then we got 3 3v3 courts with one of them being a no squad, and then we got 4 regular 1v1 TTO courts. But unfortunately, there was no sign of what looks like is going to be TTO matchmaking once again in 2K26, which makes me sad. I can only pray that is going to be in 2K26's final product as a surprise, but honestly, I doubt it. But Now it's time to get into that hoop session in the TTO park, and the first thing I noticed is that you can now tell when you are playing the top rep player in the park. Is also some new coded like player intros, which I think was cool. Where I started to notice the big differences is when we got to the gameplay. And listen, I'm not a gameplay expert, I'm not a pro. Y'all can watch all the X2K League players, y'all can watch Joe Knows, I'm sure they've got a lot more analysis on stuff like that. But the biggest thing that I noticed off the bat is the game speed has really picked up in this game. I know they said they only increased it by like 10%, but man, was it a noticeable 10%, and I mean that in a good way. Usually every time I load up a new 2K, it feels slower. Part of that is because we've been playing with all 99 legend cards towards the end of the year, but even with that this year, I noticed the difference going into 2K26, and it was good, man. It feels nice. I am liking the game speed. Now, as far as defense, it honestly feels the same as 2K25, if not worse, and I don't mean to say that in a negative way. More so, I think it's the result of now having a pure green window that's really going to punish people that aren't playing like a great defense. And speaking of the pure green window, I absolutely love that it's going to be in 2K26, but 2K is also going to have to be cracking down on cheaters, people with Zens and whatnot, because it is going to be the make or break between being one of the most fun 2Ks and being one of the most cheater-filled 2Ks ever. Now, most of y'all know rhythm shooting was introduced in 2K25 and it's back in 2K26, though it's not going to be nearly as powerful as it was in 2K25, so they say at least. I honestly think it is still going to have the advantage over the square shooting. While square shooting is looking like it's going to be quite effective in 2K26, the thing about rhythm shooting is it gives you like 2 chances to green, and I don't know how that's going to work when it eventually comes to the king of the court competitive modes where you purely have to green in order to make a shot. But essentially in 2K25 you had to green both the tempo and the timing, and in 2K26 it looks like you only have to green one of the 2 in order to make a shot. It actually looks like it weighs more on timing your tempo than it is on timing your timing, and it also feels like the queue for the rhythm shooting is a bit earlier than before. Granted, I was not able to adjust my jump shot timing whatsoever in the MyTeam park because there was no setting. People that were in play now and people that were in their My Players were able to do so, but I believe I was playing on push, so I wasn't even going to test the square shooting because I am usually a set point player. Nonetheless, it still feels like rhythm shooting is going to have that edge because you're going to be able to green like that. So it's like you're greening a white at the same time. I don't know, it was kind of confusing. I also decided to go ahead and test that new L2 shooting feature, and I think it is going to be awesome for poppers and players with slower jumpers. The way it works is if you're holding L2 before the player receives the pass, it is then going to speed up their jump shot by skipping the dip animation. So as soon as they catch it, they're going immediately into the shot, JJ Redick, Ray Allen style, and I decided to go ahead and test it side by side. I did it with LeBron James with and without the L2, and it makes milliseconds of a difference, which is like the difference between a jump shot being on quick or very quick. So while visually it might not look like it's going to be that much time, when you are playing the game, it makes it so tough. I did it a couple times with Steph Curry, and I literally could not time his L2 because it was too quick. But people that are going to be able to get that down, I think it's going to make a significant difference in offensive gameplay in 2K26. It's awesome. I like it. Now, I do want to mention, out of all the cards I was using at Calm Day, my favorite ones were the pink diamond Caitlin Clark and the diamond Steph Curry. A lot of the cards were great, but these 2 cards I was just having so much fun with, especially the Caitlin Clark, because I really wanted to see how WNBA players were going to be able to hang with the giant NBA players on the court. And man, Clark had no issues. Not only did she have some of the best movements on the game down to her dribbling, her movement speed, she also had one of the best, if not the best and easiest jumper to green at Calm Day. I really hope this is the case with a lot of the WNBA players, where they're just equipped with a ton of great animations to make up for their size. One thing's for sure though, man, I am looking forward to hooping with Caitlin Clark. I also managed to get a first look at the Streak Busters reward system in TTO Park. This guy right here is on a 5-game winning streak, and if you manage to beat him, you are going to get 2,000 VC. The reward gets bigger as his streak gets longer. Pause on that, I think. I don't know. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm personally a fan of this, and I will be incentivized to destroy any of y'all that are streaking in the TTO Park. The main concern is really going to be, will the reward system continue to stay updated throughout the course of the whole year? Because if it does, I think the potential in that is awesome, and people are going to have a ton of fun trying to end people's streaks in the park. So it's cool. I then got a chance to jump into the new 2v2 courts with my boy Killsmoy, and man, it was a blast. Very similar to the city and the 2v2 layout of that. The only difference I noticed with the park and TTO Park is that when you scored in TTO Park, you get to keep the ball. That's right, man. They were playing with keep. So if you start cooking on an offense, you can 21-0 someone pretty quickly. But at the same time, if you let someone score, that might have been the last time you would have gotten your hands on the ball. And there was definitely some situations where that happened to me, and it was humbling. I'm not sure if that is going to be the final case when 2K26 actually drops. I'm assuming so, because they didn't say anything about it, but very interesting. Let me know how y'all feel about that. I kind of like it so far, except for if you run into, you know, two centers and they run the court for like 2 hours and it's GG's. But at the same time, if you cook with Curry and you never have to worry about playing defense with Curry, that's also GG's. Next up, I had to jump into a new mode I was personally excited for, and I think it's going to be one of the most exciting modes in my team this year, and that is the 5v5 All-Star Team Up. You can get to it by either walking through a portal in the TTO Park or in the MyTeam menu that was not available to us, but it works very similarly to Rec, where you can walk in and you can solo queue, or you can jump in with a squad of 5 and then hop into a game. And the first thing I did notice was that court is small. They gave us the clutch time court, and I don't know if it's the camera angle or what, but it definitely looks small to me, and rewatching the footage again, it still looks small. We definitely need a full-size court in that, otherwise things are gonna start to get crazy throughout the year, and it's just gonna be lane steal heaven on that mode. I do like that it's 6-minute halves though, because the games definitely go by quick, but yeah, that court definitely needs to be bigger. Now, overall, what we got to test out with the MyTeam mode, while it was very limited, I'm feeling pretty good about. There is still the obvious concerns, such as the TTO lacking matchmaking. I think what they could have done is added a portal similar to what they're doing with the 5v5 All-Star Team Up to be able to walk into and just queue up a quick TTO game, because not everybody has the time to sit around for 10 minutes to then play a game. And then God forbid you lose and you got to sit around for another 10 minutes while you wait for another game, or if you load up into an empty park and you can't get games in. You want to be able to optimize it so that people are able to play your game as much as possible and not sitting around brainlessly. And speaking of sitting around, while I didn't get to see the auction house, I'm really hoping that whole waiting in the auction house is not a thing, because that escrow was definitely not fun in 2K25. The other concern is things I've mentioned before, such as the servers. As long as the servers are running smoothly, I think TTO Park is going to be a good time. The problem is, in 2K25, more times than not, there was a lot of server issues that either affected a lot of people's streaks or the overall gameplay vibe of the game. And the gameplay itself is fun. I like the speed, but it's going to come down to whether people can actually enjoy it. And then, of course, the reward system throughout the year. While the rewards did look good at times in 2K25, overall they were fairly lackluster, so I hope that is something they heavily considered in 2K26. I understand that when we're invited to Community Day, we're not there to review the game because the game isn't officially out. We're just there to get early access and have a good time as creators, which I definitely did, but I can't help but also be able to voice things for the community. I do wish I got a chance to test out some more of the newer stuff that they're talked about in MyTeam, such as the game changer cards, the new coach system, maybe take a look at the new breakout just to see what the rewards might look like, or even see that new MyTeam arena as well as the victory cards. But overall, I can't help but be excited for 2K26.